Hello everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today. My name is Jacqueline and in today's video I'm bringing you 3 looks using the brand new NATASHA DENONA Mini Retro Palette, as well as my review and demo on the Mini Bloom Palette. But before we get started, and if you're new here, I hope that you will consider to subscribe to my channel and ring that post notification bell so you get to know whenever I upload new videos. Also, come and follow me on my Instagram. And now, if you want to see how I achieve this look, in addition of other 2 looks, and how do these new products from NATASHA DENONA perform, then just keep on watching. These NATASHA DENONA new releases, they really caught me by surprise, and I think to many, because there hasn't been any sneak peeks of something new coming from her line. I mean, we know it's a new year, 2020, and I'm sure many brands, they have planned out what they are gonna launch for this year, but this was kind of like unexpected. In a way, I'm happy that she decided to release something that it was in the mini size, both the blush and the mini eyeshadow palette, because nowadays, in the circumstances that the world is going through, I think this was perhaps the best move if she wanted to release something, because they are not super expensive. Obviously, they are on the high-end price. These products, they are not the price of a drugstore type of makeup, but at least if you decide to make this purchase, I don't feel the guilt will be, so much as if you were to buy a full-on big eyeshadow palette from NATASHA DENONA, or even a face palette from her. So anyhow, the temptation was real, because the packaging, the color story, honestly is very different from what we have seen from NATASHA DENONA. And don't get me wrong, she truly does an amazing job at creating different color stories. But this one right here was like, wow, it really speaks to me. And I think both of the products are products that are well curated for springtime. Okay, so I finally received my package, and here it is, the Unicard of the Mini Retro Palette. Super cute. This palette right here is made in Italy. It has 5 different eyeshadows and is $25. It is parent-free and cruelty-free. And let's take a peek of the inside. I have to say that I really love the new pan color, but this one right here is kind of like that pinky blush color, muted, so beautiful. I think it's just very feminine too. First, let's start with some swatches. Galaxia Industrial 60s. I'm gonna build on just a little more 60s. Vintage Taupe Pixie. Galaxy is a chroma crystal, Industrial is a metallic shade, 60s and Vintage Taupes are creamy matte, and then Pixie is a metallic shade. And then for the Bloom highlighting blush, here's the Unicard. Again, it's made in Italy, parent-free, gluten-free, mineral oil-free. And this is actually a new shade for NATASHA DENONA. And the cost of that is $19. It has a shelf life of 18 months. So let's take a peek on the outside. This beautiful coral peachy shade. Comes with a little mirror too. Now let's swatch Mini Bloom. And these just have a high sheen to it, but it doesn't have any glitter on it. I have here Sonia G Soft Cheek Brush, and I'm gonna start with the blush application. Pick up a lot of it, so be careful. I really think this blush is good for those of us that we have light to medium skin tone, those who have medium skin tones, and I think it will complement so beautiful for those who have like a rich complexion. As far as if you have a fair skin tone, I will say go light-handed because these have a lot of pigmentation. Just gonna build a little bit right here. So put plenty right here. And it's pretty easy to blend, but I will say just go light-handed. And I'm sure you can see that it has a little bit of glow too without being an actual highlighter. Okay, let's start with the first eyeshadow look. Scott Barnes number 62 brush and Vintage Taupe. First, I'm applying it all over the lid, and then I'm gonna start building it up a little more on the outer V. And I think you can see really well that you can just deepen it out the same shade as much as you want. Is blending like a dream too. Sonia G Builder Pro, shade Pixie. I'm just gonna apply this shade right here on my mobile lid. Now this shade is very subtle. It's nothing strong, it's not ultra foil. Now I want to try it with a little bit of my MAC Fix Plus and see what is the potential that this eyeshadow can give me. So I'm applying it now wet. Okay, it's just showing just a dash more, but not enough for my likes. So I'm using an old tool, my finger. Okay. You need to use your finger with this shade. Now we're talking. Now this is a different story. Eco Tools brush, and I'm gonna go to Vintage Taupe. And I'm gonna apply it on my lower lash line. And then with my pinky, I'm gonna go back again to the shade Pixie, and I'm just gonna apply it on my inner corner. As you can tell, it's a very soft daytime look. Now let's go to the other eyelid and create something more for nighttime. Scott Barnes number 62 brush and Vintage Taupe. And I'm applying this shade above my crease. Sigma E25 brush and 60s. I'm going to apply it on my outer V. I'm going back to Vintage Taupe. And I'm applying it over top the shade 60 and just kind of blending it in. Sigma F70 brush, Industrial. Okay, this application is with the brush completely dry. I'm gonna now wet it. Definitely a beautiful pewter metallic tone. Shade 60 and Flat Definer from Sonia G. I'm just gonna take it on my lower lash line. For my inner corner, just with my pinky, I'm gonna go into the shade Pixie. Okay, let's go into the third look. Vintage Taupe with Scott Barnes number 62. And I'm gonna apply it all over my eyelid. Sigma F70 brush and the shade Galaxia. Oh my gosh, this shade is gorgeous. Okay, I'm gonna try it with my finger. Oh. This shade right here with the warmth of your finger is just a different story. It looks like your eyelids are wet. Just so gorgeous. Sonia G Flat Definer and the shade 60s. And with this shade, I just want to create a mini wing. So I'm going to start first lining up my lash line. And then if you have hooded eyes, the best way to create a wing is just look straight with eyes open and then start drawing. Eco Tools Smudge Brush and the shade Vintage Taupe. Then I'm gonna take this shade and put it on my lower lash line. Going back to 60s with Sonia G Flat Definer. Now I'm gonna connect that mini wing to my lower lash line. Refer 03 brush and the shade Pixie. I'm going to apply that shade on my inner corner. I'm just putting the same shade on the inner third of my lash line. Same shade Pixie, and I'm just going to highlight my brow bone. Using the same brush, I'm going to go to the shade Galaxia. And I'm going to put that shade right here on my lower lash line, right in the middle. Now that I'm done with this makeup look, I want to jump into the Bloom Highlighting Blush and compare it with other face palettes that I have here in my collection from Natasha Denona. One of them being the Bloom palette, as well as the Love Glow palette that came out these last Valentine's. And I also have here a Diamond and Blush palette. This is one of her bigger palettes for face, and this is in 2 Citrus. Now I also wanted to compare the size of the pans. The weight of the mini Bloom is 4 grams, while the weight of these other blushes are around 3.7 grams. Some of them, depending on the formulation, they are around 2.5 grams. So basically you're getting pretty much one pan right here for $19, which if you multiply, this palette will cost you like $80 about if you were to buy 4 of these. And then at that point it may be worth it to buy a full-on face palette because it will be more cost effective. But if you're a person that doesn't use a lot of makeup, that your makeup collection is very minimal, and you just, you're just not adding too much, perhaps these type of mini blushes are the perfect route. It's still economic, but I just want to compare it price with price. Okay, now let's go to swatches and comparisons. But I want to mention that this blush right here is a new shade, Mini Bloom. And from the Bloom palette, now this is a cream shade, while the Mini Bloom is an actual cream to powder formula. Now let's do this shade here. Love Glow. I'm going to put it right next to it. Diamond and Blush Citrus 2. I'm going to go to a cream formula here. Is this one. And I'm going to go back to the Mini Bloom. And I'm just going to swatch it right next to it. Going back on the Mini Retro palette, as far as color story, I do not have anything that is exactly the same. And the only thing that I can think of that has just been released recently is the Millennial Pink palette from Mel Cosmetics. And I actually didn't buy it because I heard not so many good reviews about that palette. So I decided to pass on, and I'm glad I did. But I think that's the only palette that kind of like color story wise is kind of similar than these. But from my collection, I don't have a similar, exactly the same color story. I do have very similar shades though, and one of them may be the Huda Beauty New Nude palette. Now this is more of like a old taupey pink tone type of palette, so it's not precisely exactly the same. I mean, we're missing here the silver shades as well as that kind of murky type of grayish tone. This shade right here is very alike to the shade Secret on the New Nude, Vintage Taupe, and then Secret. Now Secret is a little bit more pink, a little bit deeper. And then as far as this shade Galaxia goes, I think it looks very alike to the shade Daydream. And here's Daydream. Now that I'm done with my comparisons, let's go into my final thoughts. Starting with the Mini Retro palette, What a beautiful color story. I really enjoy it. I find it to be like very unique. I think this is just one of the best mini eyeshadow palettes from Natasha Denona. As I took her new nude palette, this one right here is just outstanding. Another thing that is very important for me to note, it is that there are 3 repeated shades on this eyeshadow palette. And one of them is Galaxia. It's this shade right here. It comes from the Star palette. The other shade is Industrial, which comes from one of the 28 pan palette. I'm pretty sure it is the green and brown one. And then the other shade is Vintage Taupe. This comes from the Tropical palette. So if you have those 3 palettes or 2 of them, then you already have some of these shades on those palettes. So the only 2 new shades are 60s and Pixie. So I lied. I found something very similar to this 60s shade, and it's from Natasha Denona. All right, so here you go. And I'm gonna go here to, let's first go to Viva, okay? So Tour is a shade that has a little bit of a sheen. It's not completely matte. And then here I have a Sculpture. Okay, so here's Sculpture and this is Tour. So there you go, they are similar, but Safari palette. This shade right here called Savannah. This is very, very similar. Doesn't have a lot of that green undertone, but as you can tell, I mean, if any difference, it's very minimal. Okay, editing Jackeline, let's go back. Okay, let me tell you, to me the shade 60s is a very unique shade. A little bit murky, something that I will not gravitate towards unless I really want to make like a smoky eye look. So I like that it is in this eyeshadow palette because it makes total sense. It's just very cohesive. The color story is just so on point that I agree to have it right here. But if I already had the other 3 shades, I wouldn't have bought it. So those are the only 2 things that I will have to say about this eyeshadow palette in relation if you already have the other 3 palettes. Another valid point to note about this eyeshadow palette is the formulation. The formula of each of these eyeshadows is on par with all of the other Natasha Denona large eyeshadow palettes. They perform super well. They are very different. Like the mattes are creamy mattes, beautiful. They apply seamlessly. Now these 2 foil shades, they are extraordinary. My suggestion it is to apply them wet or apply them with your finger. And same thing with this Pixie shade. This Pixie shade is more, it's not super foil, it's more subtle, more delicate, which it makes of this palette a very versatile palette because you can actually create a look for like a nighttime and a look for daytime, as I showed you on this demonstration here. Now going into the Mini Bloom palette, I think the color is just ideal for spring and summertime, this vibrant coral tone. If you have a fair skin tone, go light-handed. I think this will be best suited for those who have light to medium skin tones, medium skin tones, and those who have rich complexions. This will look just amazing. It has this highlighting effect, but it's not too much. It's not like putting, you know, like a big amount of highlighter. No, it just have a very beautiful luminosity to it that is just very special. If you have any of the other palettes from Natasha Denona, whether it's the Bloom one, whether it's the Love Glow, whether it's one of the Diamond Glows, I mean, I don't think the difference is extreme, mostly if you're talking about the Bloom one and those coral tones for justify the purchase. But regardless, I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful shade for spring and summertime. Alrighty friends, I hope that you really enjoyed this video, that you liked the 3 looks that I was able to create here for you. I would love to read your comments down below. Are you planning to purchase any of these palettes? Have you already done so? Have you tried them? What do you think about them? Let's start that conversation down below. And while you're at it, and if you haven't done so yet, I hope that you will give me the opportunity, subscribe to my channel, become part of the family. And if you don't want to miss any of my content, there's one thing that you must do, and that is to ring the post notification bell, because believe me, YouTube will not let you know whenever I upload new content unless you have that post notification bell on. Also, if you have a little bit of a chance, come and check my Instagram. And if you like this video, do not forget to give it a thumbs up. Also share with friends and family. Let's entertain ourselves while we are going through this situation that we're staying at home. Let's just pass some times. Let's just have some joy. I hope that I was able to entertain you, bring you something new and exciting. Thank you so much again for watching. Until the next time, I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful day. Bye-bye.